All right, welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories and information found here can also be found at our website, IndianCountryNews.com. Here's the news from the day from the Associated Press and other Native American news sources. 3 former Stalagamish tribal leaders have been sentenced to prison for contraband cigarette sales in Arlington, Washington. U.S. District Judge James L. Robert sentenced Ed Goodridge Sr. and his son Eddie Jr. this week to a year and 2 months. Their cousin Sarah Schrodel got 8 months in prison, and Linda Goodridge, the wife of Ed Goodridge Sr., who is not a tribal member, got 4 months of home detention. The 4 also owe more than $25 million for state taxes they avoided paying at the Blue Stilly Smoke Shop. The Goodridges and Schrodel are former tribal council members. Council Chairwoman Sean Yanity says the tribe was misled in approving the cigarette sales and was a victim in the case. He adds that the tribe's role remains under investigation. Funeral services for an 11-year-old Shawnee girl who lobbied Oklahomans to donate bone marrow were being held March 11th in Antler, Oklahoma. Services for Tally Anderson were held at First Baptist Church in Antlers. The girl's father, Richard Anderson, said the girl passed away of pulmonary fibrosis created by chemotherapy treatments. Tally had a rare blood disorder and waited 2 years for a donor that matched her body. Tally, who was of Choctaw descent, helped raise awareness about the need for donors of blood marrow. Officials say Tally's public awareness campaign has accounted for as many as 250 American Indians being added to the state of Oklahoma donor list. The Cherokee Nation Tribal Council of Oklahoma has voted to send to tribal voters a proposal to eliminate term limits for the principal chief and tribal councilors. The tribe's 1999 Constitution limits elected officials to 2 terms, but the Constitution didn't go into effect until the year 2003. The 2 measures now will go to Principal Chief Chad Smith to sign or veto. If he signs them, they'll appear on the ballot in the year 2011. Smith was first elected in 1999 and said he has plans to run again for re-election in 2011. Smith also has sued the Tribal Election Commission in part to clarify when the term limit rule on the Constitution took effect. Archaeologists are excavating sites along the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon of Arizona in hopes of saving artifacts before they wash away. Although the National Park Service typically leaves such artifacts alone, about 60 sites are being undercut by water or unearthed by wind, topography, and the lack of sand, which is largely blocked from getting into the canyon by Glen Canyon Dam upstream. National Park Service archaeologists and the Museum of Northern Arizona are working to uncover 9 of the sites, which are mostly about 1,000 years old. The excavation is costing them about $1.2 million and is funded with fees visitors pay to enter the park. After the digs, the ruins of the homes and granaries are being reburied by hand. Along with the excavation of gaming pieces, pottery, a kaiva, and even a bone from a bison, the archaeologists are also mapping sediment, leading to the most complete picture of flooding in the Grand Canyon since the last ice age, said Jan Balsam, a deputy chief of science at the park. New Mexico lawmakers have sent Governor Bill Richardson a measure designed to promote cooperation between state governments and tribes. It requires every cabinet-level state agency to designate a tribal liaison who would report directly to the head of the agency. It also orders state agencies to develop policies promoting better communication and culturally appropriate delivery of services. And it mandates an annual state tribal summit between the New Mexico governor and Indian leaders. Tribal officials urged the legislature to endorse the bill when they came to the state capitol last month for a joint session of the House and Senate. The University of Alaska Fairbanks will host the 36th Annual Festival of Native Arts March 19th through the 21st in the Charles Davis Concert Hall in the Wood Center on the Fairbanks campus. This year's theme, Under the Great Moon, We Dance Together as One, reflects the nearly 24 Native dance groups and 30 Native artists who are expected to participate. This year, organizers of the festival will dedicate every day of the event to individuals who have served the Native community. Madeline Bergman Byfelt from Allakaket and Hazalia will be honored on Thursday, March 19th. Ruthie Sampson from Shungnak will be honored Friday, March 20th, and Benny Albert from Ninana will be honored and remembered on Saturday, March 21st. The festival will begin at 6 p.m. each day and continue until midnight. The third annual National Convention of National American Indian Veterans will be held at the world-famous Morongo Casino and Resort and Spa in Cabazon, California, March 19th through March 21st. The mission of the NAIV is to educate and assist Native American veterans without regard to tribal affiliation, degree of Indian blood, branch of the armed services, or combat status in understanding and obtaining benefits and entitlements from the Department of Veterans Affairs. The Native population in the United States is the smallest ethnic group of any population, yet on a per capita basis provides more members to the armed forces than any other population sector. Highlights of the convention will include a Honoring Our Warriors Feather ceremony, gourd dances, addresses from top military Defense Department officials, tribal and governmental dignitaries, and numerous workshops. Members from most of the 500 or more recognized tribes in the United States are expected to be in attendance. If you want more information, you can call 888-MORONGO, M-O-R-O-N-G-O. And if you're getting ready to head to the powwow circuit this weekend, we got a couple powwows for today to read off here that people have sent in. We got the MCT powwow coming up on March 19th and 22nd at the Gila River Community in Saskatoon, Arizona. In addition, the Pigeon Lake powwow, March 20th and 21st at the Recreational Center in Pigeon Lake, Alberta. The 5th Clinton Farms Powwow, March 20th and 21st at the Clinton Farms Park in Winston, Georgia. The 11th Saugeen First Nation Youth Powwow, that's at James Mason Center in Saugeen First Nation, Ontario. 16th Calling of the Tribes Powwow at the Terrebonne Livestock Arena in Houma, Louisiana. And the 2nd Annual Fish Eating Creek Powwow at the Fish Eating Creek Resort. That's at Palmdale, Florida on March 20th through the 22nd. And of course, the big one here, the 35th Denver March Powwow coming up the 20th through the 22nd at Denver Coliseum in Denver, Colorado. The United Cherokee Powwow at Festival Park, 20th through the 22nd at Zephyrhills, Florida. The 2nd Tribal Youth Benefit Powwow at the Town Hall Field in Louisville, Tennessee. And what else do we got here at the top of the list here again? Homestead Powwow, March 21st at Homestead High at Cupertino, California. And we'll have a couple more powwows to read for you tomorrow, so get your regalia all stacked up and you gassed up and get going. There's a lot going on this weekend. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast and you for peeking in and listening to the news. Miigwech.